Hi, and thank you for visiting my channel. For more information, kindly subscribe and follow. Now let's get started. Solo Sikoa has received a bold message from his Bloodline stablemate Jacob Fatu. Sikoa and Fatu will team up with the rest of the Bloodline for the upcoming War Games match. Since debuting in WWE, Fatu has been appointed as Sikoa's enforcer. The Samoan werewolf has terrorized the entire roster, including Roman Reigns and the Usos. He played a significant role in the Bloodline's victory over the OG Bloodline at the Crown Jewel Premium Live event. On X, FKA Twitter, Fatu thanked Jesus for blessing him with another day to love his tribal chief. Since joining the Bloodline, Fatu has won the WWE Tag Team Championships with Tama Tonga. However, he was forced to vacate the title after Sikoa's orders. He and the rest of the Bloodline also cost JUSO the Intercontinental Championship on Raw. Rikishi expects Jacob Fatu to betray Solo Sikoa. Rikishi has claimed Jacob Fatu will eventually betray Solo Sikoa and snap at the tribal chief. Speaking on the Off the Top podcast, the Hall of Famer predicted the Samoan werewolf will get over with the WWE Universe. He said, "Jacob's going to snap one day on these guys, Bloodline. When they show his eyes, when they show his hands together, man, he's praying to Solo or he's just praying that he don't relapse. I don't mess this up with these cats right here. Once Jacob turns man, I think the Samoan werewolf is gonna have the whole arena just howling man." At the Crown Jewel Premium Live event, Sikoa pinned Roman Reigns to score a major win for the Bloodline. On this week's Raw, Solo attempted to recruit Seth Rollins as the fifth War Games member for his stable. The WWE locker room was alive with a buzz that only the anticipation of a new chapter in the Bloodline's legacy could generate. For months, the chaotic power struggle within the faction had brought tension, accusations, and heated confrontations. Roman Reigns' absence had left a vacuum, and his cousins, the Usos, had once again found themselves divided. But in the shadows, another figure loomed, Jacob Fatu, the young Samoan powerhouse who had quickly proven his dominance, both within the ring and within the Bloodline. Yet, as the days passed, a chill ran through the veins of those who had long been entrenched in the family saga. Rikishi, the legendary former WWE star and patriarch of the Anoa'i family, sat quietly in his dressing room, his mind racing. The walls around him seemed to close in with every passing thought. He had seen this story unfold before, knew how the blood ran thick, but it also made people do things that were unimaginable, things that, once done, couldn't be undone. He had been watching, carefully observing the tension between his sons, especially the ever-loyal Solo Sikoa and the ambitious Jacob Fatu. The youngest member of the Bloodline had quickly become a dominant force, but with that came hunger, a hunger that Rikishi feared could tear apart everything his family had fought for. A knock on the door interrupted his thoughts. Rikishi didn't need to ask who it was. The familiar presence of his son, Solo Sikoa, filled the room moments later. The younger Samoan had a brooding, almost dangerous air about him, as though he had just come from a battle that only he could truly understand. "Dad," Solo said, his voice calm but carrying a weight that could bend steel. "You wanted to talk?" Rikishi turned his chair slowly, his eyes narrowing as he regarded Solo. The fire in his son's eyes reminded him so much of Roman, of the power and resolve that had made him the tribal chief. But unlike Roman, Solo's path was not yet fully written. That's where the danger lay. "Sit, son," Rikishi said, gesturing toward the chair beside him. Solo obeyed. Solo didn't flinch. He wasn't shocked by the statement. "I thought you liked him. He's family, after all." Rikishi exhaled slowly, his mind flashing to memories of his own battles within the Anoa'i family. "You know what they say, son. Family can either be your strength or your downfall. Jacob's ambition, it runs deep, and it worries me. He's been circling you, and I can feel it in my bones. He's got plans, Solo. Dangerous plans." Solo cocked an eyebrow. "Plans? You think he wants to take my spot?" Rikishi nodded gravely. Not just your spot, but Roman's too. He's young, hungry, and driven. He's got the talent to back it up, no doubt. But ambition can turn into something darker when mixed with pride. Solo looked away, digesting his father's words. Jacob Fatu had been a rising star in the WWE for a while now, but his rise wasn't as clear-cut as the others in the Bloodline. He was a wild card, someone who didn't carry the weight of Roman's legacy as the tribal chief, yet carried a chip on his shoulder to prove himself. It had only been a matter of time before that hunger started to gnaw at the edges of the family's unity. Rikishi leaned forward, his eyes locking with his son's. Jacob will come for you, Solo. It's not a question of if, but when. The sooner you realize that, the sooner you can prepare for it. He's waiting for you to show weakness. He'll strike when you least expect it. Solo remained silent, his thoughts drifting back to the moments when Jacob had stepped into his orbit. Their interactions had been mostly cordial, even supportive. But something about Jacob's grin, always just a bit too confident, a bit too knowing, made Solo uneasy. His father's words echoed in his head now, reshaping his perspective. I won't let him take what's mine, Solo finally replied, the anger simmering beneath his calm demeanor. No one takes my place in the Bloodline. Rikishi's eyes softened slightly, a mixture of pride and concern crossing his face. That's the right mentality. But be careful, Solo. Jacob may seem like he's got your back, but I've seen this before. I've seen what ambition can do to a man. It can twist him, break him. Solo nodded, but there was something else in his gaze. A quiet determination, yes, but also a tinge of doubt. His father was right to be concerned. Jacob was too good at playing the game, too skilled at hiding his true intentions behind that ever-present smile. The young man had been welcomed into the Bloodline by Roman, but there were no guarantees in the world of wrestling, no loyalty stronger than a good opportunity. I'll keep an eye on him, Solo said, standing up from his chair. Thanks for the warning, Dad. Rikishi watched his son leave the room, his heart heavy with the weight of what might come. Solo was strong, both physically and mentally, but even he could be vulnerable in this volatile family dynamic. And when Jacob Fatu finally made his move, it would send shockwaves through everything. A few days later, the arena buzzed with electricity as SmackDown took center stage. The Bloodline's name echoed through the loudspeakers as Solo Sikoa prepared for his match. The fans were eager to see the Samoan powerhouse in action, and there was a familiar intensity in the air. Solo's eyes were sharp as he entered the ring, but in the back of his mind, a constant nagging thought lingered. Was Jacob Fatu really the ally he pretended to be? Was there something more behind the smile and the handshake? In the crowd, Rikishi sat quietly, his face impassive. The truth was, he had been around long enough to know that wrestling wasn't just about who could outlast the other in a match. It was about who could.